its operating costs as we continue to spread the message of Imam Hussein alayhi salam.
Whilst this winter many of you will be enjoying the festive season, Afghanistan is going through a crisis. Every winter the weather will reach temperatures as low as minus 18 degrees Celsius. With little finances and homes not adequate enough to keep the heat in, many families struggle during this season. The elderly are vulnerable and physically challenged to fight the cold during these days and nights. Young children must walk through snow and ice in order to get to school and return to a chilly and bitter cold home. Imam Hussein Development and Relief Foundation are determined to help. We will be providing households with coal to burn throughout the winter. $150 is all we need. $150 will be enough to provide heat and warmth for one household for the whole of winter. That's $150 for 4 months. You can donate via PayPal, bank transfer, or visit us at www.ihdrf.org to make a donation. Our Imams tell us the best of you are those who help those who are desperate. Help us spread the warmth. Thank you.
We question our daily position, seeking answers and definitions. Get the queries off your chest with Ahkam SOS.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to Ahkam SOS, the show that discusses Islamic duties and practices. Now, this is a live show. We do take in all your questions, and if you have any questions on any topics in regards to Islam, please send in your questions via the WhatsApp, the email address. You can call us in the studio 0203-515-0199. If you're watching via Facebook Live or you're watching on YouTube, send in your questions on the comment section. The technical team will be able to send them to me here on this iPad here, and inshallah we'll be able to discuss and answer all of your questions. I'm your host, Mohsin Shah, and joining me is Sheikh Ali Ma'ar. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
How are you this evening, Sheikhna?
Alhamdulillah.
MashaAllah, Sheikhna, this week we will be entering the month of Rajab, inshallah. A very, very blessed month. What are, some of the recommendations in this month, and also, Sheikhna, how rewarding are the amals in this month?
أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على محمد وآله الطاهرين ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين. Indeed, one of the Ashhur al-Hurum, the sacred months, is month of Rajab. One of the 4 main months of Ashhur al-Hurum is this holy month. Recommendation of fasting, of ad'iyah. We have very short and small dua to be recited after each salah. يا من أرجوه لكل خير وآمنه من كل على كل حال. It's a dua, inshallah. You can refer back to the Mafatih al-Jinan. You recite after each salah. A'mal we have on the eve of Friday. Ad'iyah of Rajab. One should try to basically elevate one's self to a level and prepare ourselves for the holy month of Ramadan. Because the idea of Rajab and Sha'ban is to be ready for this holy month. Also, we have blessed occasions and events in this holy month. On the first of Rajab, we have Wiladah of Imam Muhammad al-Baqir alayhi salam. On the second of Rajab, we have Wiladah of Imam Ali al-Hadi alayhi salam. On the third of Rajab, according to narration, Shahadat Imam Ali al-Hadi alayhi salam. On the 10th of Rajab, we have Wiladat Imam al-Jawad alayhi salam. On the 13th of Rajab, well, famous Imam Ali's alayhi salam's birthday. 15th of Rajab, Wafat, or the demise of Lady Zainab salamullah alayha. On the 20th of Rajab, we have in this calendar Wiladah of Sayyidah Sakina bint Hussein alayhi salam. 25th of Rajab, we have Shahada of Imam Musa al-Kadhim alayhi salam, and the visitation of Kadhimiyya on this blessed day. And finally, we have the dhikra and the occasion of Mab'ath al-Nabawi. The mission which was given to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam for the ba'tha of the message of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So it's a blessed month, blessed days and nights. We try to take this opportunity to elevate ourselves by reducing the acts which do not please Allah Azza wa Jal. by increasing the a'mal and acts which please Allah Azza wa Jal, a bit of worship, a bit of fasting if we can fast. Very recommended this holy month to fast. Even just one day would give a greater reward in this regard. So we try, inshallah, do our best to implement what has been mentioned in the Kutub al-Ad'iyah and narrations, inshallah.
Just a quick reminder to all of you that this is a live show. We do taking your questions. If you have any questions, send it in via the WhatsApp, the email address. Give us a call, 0203-515-0199. Or if you're watching on Facebook or you're watching on YouTube live, send it in on the comment section, and inshallah we'll be able to answer your questions. Sheikhna, is it permissible to take a case to a judge within a judicial system or government that is known to be unjust or oppressive in order to you to seek and defend one's right? For example, Sheikhna, if we're living in a government where, you know, the rule is unjust and so forth, and let's say someone's coming and tried to burgle my house or something like that, and I'm here to seek compensation, can I seek justice and compensation from an unjust government and unjust ruler?
Well, if this is the only way to seek one's right or defend one's right in anyhow, there's no, as well as harm to others as a result of going back to the government's, let's say, courts and so forth. There's no harm towards the believers, the mu'mineen, mu'minat. Then there is no objection to this by going back to them in this regard. So yes, you can go in this way.
Okay. Sheikh, I work as a public prosecutor in the Interior Ministry in our country. The prosecutor's role is to institute of conduct legal proceedings in respect of crimes and on behalf of the public. Amongst the authority of the prosecutor is to detain the accused or the suspect from 4 to 21 days, and it is possible to extend this detention period to up to 6 months pending the inquiry into the case every 15 days. All of this is in line with the statutory law. What is the Islamic ruling for this?
Well, it is not permissible to detain somebody according to the law of that land or country, except the one who has permission from the Ahkam SOS, a warrant from the Ahkam SOS, the Maraja, in which would allow it. Otherwise, you can't. You have to change the job to something else.
Oh, I see. MashaAllah. Shaitan, what is the ruling regarding hunger strikes?
Well, it is permissible as long as it doesn't cause harm, or let's say death, severe harm such as loss of limb or organs and so forth, disabling organ and so forth.
Sheikhna, what is Taqiyya and is it mandatory?
You see, Taqiyya comes from ittaqa. Taqiyya is there to protect oneself by concealing your aqidah and belief. And this is based in the Holy Quran. Taqiyya is not something that was made by the Shia, as we've been accused by the Wahhabis, for example, by the extremists from the non-Shias, that you are hypocrites, you hide your true identity. The problem is with those individuals that they have been butchering and slaughtering and beheading the Shia for the past 14th century. Just because you're a Shia, they kill you, they behead you. So this is a Quranic notion and way in which you have the right to conceal your aqidah. I'll bring at least 2 verses with this regard. In Surah number 40, Ayah 28. وَقَالَ رَجُلٌ مُؤْمِنٌ مِنْ آلِ فِرْعَوْنَ يَكْتُمُ إِيمَانَهُ. A believing man from Pharaoh's family, Pharaoh's family, who had concealed his faith. In other words, this believing individual, this man, was within the Pharaoh system, government system. He worked with them, but he was a believer. He was a mu'min. He didn't do, let's say, oppression or sin and so forth. He was a believer, but yaktumu imana, he concealed his faith. So he performed or implemented taqiyya in that time, in order to, let's say, save people, help others, you know, all these aspects in which in some cases are allowed, such as the case of Ali ibn Yaqtin, in the time of Imam al-Kadhim alayhi salam, in which he was the, let's say, the prime minister or the minister of Harun al-Abbasi, and he was a Shia.
Yes.
And he used Taqiyya as well. But with that sense, he served the Shia. Those who were in jail, he would release them, for example, help the poor, and so forth. With this condition, yes. The second ayah, إِلَّا مَنْ أُكْرِهَ وَقَلْبُهُ مُطْمَئِنٌ بِالْإِيمَانِ, Surah number 16, ayah 106. Except for someone who is compelled, while his heart rests securely in faith. And this is the story of Ammar bin Yasir, very famous. The Sunni and the Shia narrate this story, that Ammar and his parents, Sumayya and Yasir, were taken by the mushrikeen of Mecca. They were tortured. Of course, Yasir and Sumayya did not use Taqiyya, and they were killed and martyred, and they were the first shaheed in Islam. Unlike Ammar, used the Taqiyya. So he said the words which pleases the disbelievers, you know, let's say praising their gods and so forth. So they released him. So that's why this ayah was revealed with this regard, that you can actually use Taqiyya. You know, it's an option to use it or not to use it. You have to see the condition, the situation. So Ammar bin Yasir, he used the Taqiyya, and he was released, and this was very beneficial for him, because in that time he was young. So he remained until Imam Ali's alayhi salam leadership, and eventually he was killed in the Battle of Siffin by Muawiyah. So yes, Taqiyya is part of the deen. We have a narration with this regard. Ala kulli hal, Quranic notion, as we mentioned now. So those who accuse us, sadly, they are jahil, ignorant, or hypocrites, munafiqeen. So one should go back to the history, to the ayat, to the tafasir. You'll find that Taqiyya is part of the aqidah, part of the deen. But of course, it's an option for the one to choose and use.
Inshallah ta'ala. Sheikhna, are there narrations for Ahlul Bayt, peace be upon them, regarding the ceremonies of the funerals and its days and its distribution of food, and others according to His Eminence, the Grand Ayatollah Sheikh Bashir al-Najafi?
The Sheikh mentions that there are, of course, narrations with this regard. For example, visiting the family of the deceased, feeding them, cooking for them. We have this in some narrations, that they aren't, let's say, they are in a sad or a grieving situation. So someone should go there and cook for them, bring them food and so forth. They're preparing the janazah, the burial, the fatiha and so forth. So one should take care of them. So there are, of course, with this regard. And other, of course, other traditions which would bring comfort to the heart would be also good. You know, as long as there's no haram involved in this situation.
Sheikhna, with our scholars, mashallah, may Allah lengthen their lives, all our scholars are great scholars who have impacted and helped our religion progress and so forth. You know, using their pictures in holy sites such as mosques and Husseiniyyas, is this acceptable in Islam?
It is makruh and discouraged in the mosques, because as mentioned before, that to have a picture of a human being in a room and you pray there, that is discouraged and makruh. Not haram, but makruh. So the one should cover that picture, for example, or remove it, and then you can pray. Otherwise, the makruh means in this instance that the thawab of the salah would be less.
Sheikhna, some questions coming in from our viewers. This is from the WhatsApp. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna.
Salam.
What is the ruling of me having an edible substance in my mouth when I'm praying without my notice, and I realize later during prayer? And it is the same thing with gum. So let's say maybe you're chewing some gum, or maybe there's some of your lunch left over or something, and you're praying dhuha. When you start the prayer, you don't really notice, but maybe in the second or third rak'ah, you know, it's come to your attention that there's food in your mouth. What does one do in that situation?
What is not allowed in salah is to eat and drink while praying. That is not allowed. So if you have something in the mouth, just if you can bring it out, bring it out. Otherwise, just keep it, but do not chew or do not.
Oh, just keep it on the side of your mouth.
On the side, yeah, and then when you finish, you can just continue with it.
Fantastic. Another question, Sheikh. Now, in chapter Muzammil, verse number 2, it says, "Arise and pray, but little." Could you please explain this verse? Thank you very much. Just to the viewers out there, this is not a tafsir program, but inshallah, Sheikh will be able to answer this question. Sheikh, please.
I have to see the Arabic text.
Okay, inshallah. We'll try and get the answer for you for the next episode. Right, Sheikhna. There are 2 mosques in one city and Friday prayer is held in both of them. Given that they are very close to each other, is this prayer valid according to His Eminence the Grand Ayatollah Sayyid Sistani?
Yes, the Sayyid mentions that if the distance between those 2 mosques is 5.5 kilometers approximately, so the distance between, let's say, Mosque A and Mosque B is 5.5 kilometers in distance, or more, then the prayer is valid.
I see.
So if it's less than that, then there's a problem with the salah. One of the parts, so the one should be careful.
What if there's 2 mosques close to it? One is a Shia mosque and one is another school. Then is in the Jummah.
I mean, the question is mentioned for the 2 Shia mosques and not the Sunni mosque.
Okay. Yes. If it's a non-Shia mosque, it's okay to, if they're close or not, as long as.
I mean, we have centers now in London who perform the Jum'ah prayer, and there are Sunni mosques around. So the only salah acceptable is the Shia salah.
Okay. Ahsan, Sheikhna. Sheikhna, is it permissible to read the Quran, Hadith al-Qisa, or any other supplication without ablution, according to His Eminence the Grand Ayatollah Sheikh Bashir al-Najafi?
Yes, the Sheikh mentions that it is permissible to recite these ad'iyah or even Quran without wudu. Of course, the reward would be less, because it's very good for the believing men and women to have always the wudu, to be in purity always. That brings barakah, blessing, rizq, and so forth, and the reward, of course. But the Sheikh mentions that you have to make sure that you do not touch the verses or the Asma'ullah Azza wa Jal, or the attributes of Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim with your hands. If you have no wudu, you have to have wudu so you can actually touch them.
I see. Sheikhna, what is the punishment of those who are against the Holy Household, peace be upon them, and show hatred towards their Shia and followers?
We have a narration by the authority of Hanan bin Sudayr. He narrates from his father, Sudayr al-Sayrafi. He says, قال سمعت أبا جعفر عليه السلام يقول, I heard Imam al-Baqir عليه السلام saying with this regard, إن عدو علي عليه السلام لا يخرج من الدنيا حتى يجرع جرعة من الحميم. The Imam says that the enemy of Ali عليه السلام, he will not leave this world, he will not die, except he will be given a drink of the extreme hot drink, let's say boiling drink. He's still alive in this dunya, he's on the edge of death, so he's still alive. He can hear, let's say, but he can't really do anything. So he's still alive. He'll be given this drink of na'udhu billah, of hellfire, due to his enmity and hatred of Ali alayhi salam and his children. I mean, they have to basically think about their fate. Na'udhu billah, those Wahhabi Imams and other extremists and Nasibis, that they will face severe punishment, non-refundable, non-return. There's no return if they go towards the Akhirah. So they have to be very careful. At least read their books, their narrations about Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, that Aqdakum Ali, these ahadith is in their books, that Ali is the best in all fields. But of course, being stubborn in these issues, of course, that would have a severe consequences in the Akhirah.
Ahsan. Sheikh, now a question from one of our viewers, I think it's from the WhatsApp. I was watching a show where someone, the scholar said, Imam Ali alayhi salam was married to the widow of Abu Bakr. I find this unbelievable and a confusing statement. Would appreciate it if the Sheikh could shed some light on it.
Yes, she was Asma bint Umays. Of course, when Abu Bakr was assassinated,
Yes.
after 2.5 years, she gave birth to Muhammad.
Okay.
And he was an infant. Imam alayhi salam, he got married to Asma bint Umays. She's a very noble woman, respected woman. And eventually Muhammad, the son of Abu Bakr, was raised in the house of Ali alayhi salam. And he's one of the Hawaris, one of the, I don't know, they call it saints, very close of the Imam's followers.
Yes. He loved Imam Ali.
A great individual, yes.
Big love of the Ahlul Bayt.
So, yes, of course, this is something in which took place. Is not something wrong with it, you know. The Prophet on the other side married Aisha, daughter of Abu Bakr, and so forth. These are just marriages. It's not just something that we should really raise an issue on it. You know, it's just a marriage. The whole idea is about, are they good or bad at the end of the day? Are the fates?
It's true. It's true. You have the likes of Muawiyah and Yazid, and then you have, the son of Yazid, whose name was Muawiyah as well, who was a lover of the Ahlul Bayt and was one who tried to, return the status and the, the what we call mal back to the Ahlul Bayt and so forth. So yeah, we have Abil and Qabil, both of the children of Hazrat Adam alayhi salam. One was
the killer.
It was the killer of the other brother.
So
it doesn't actually matter who the mother and father is. It all comes down to individuals, I guess. And just a quick reminder to the viewers that you can send in your questions if you're watching on Facebook Live or you're watching on YouTube. Otherwise, the WhatsApp number's there. You can email us ahkamsos@imamhussein.tv. Why not give us a call, 0203 515 0199, and inshallah we'll be able to take your call and answer your questions that you have. Sheikhna, another one coming in here. Is buying and selling NFTs halal and haram, and why? That's a really good question. We might need to do a bit of research on that. But Sheikhna, NFTs are linked with cryptocurrencies and so forth. And we were saying that Sheikh Ishaq al-Fiyadh is one who does not really support the cryptocurrency at the moment. He says it's haram. Whereas other Maraja probably haven't got a statement yet. But hopefully we'll be able to speak to some of the officers and get a proper answer, inshallah. Sheikhna, if one has enough money to go to Hajj and return to his hometown, but he does not own a house, is the Hajj of a higher priority or buying a house?
Well, initially, the hukum of Hajj is mandatory and wajib. The one who is capable, mustati', he has the money for the Hajj, of course, Hajj becomes wajib. Of course, the first Hajj, Hajj al-Islam, the very first Hajj, that is the only wajib. Otherwise, if he went for the first Hajj, then he doesn't need to go for the rest of the mustahab Hajj, niyaba, and so forth. But the main first Hajj, that is the wajib Hajj. So, yes, of course, this is the wajib Hajj. The one should and must, basically, when he receives that amount of money, which makes him capable and mustati', must spend on Hajj. Otherwise, he's disobedient and asi. But in anyhow, if this individual was in a severe discomfort, if he did not spend this money on buying the house, let's say he's going to be homeless, he's going to be in a very difficult situation, then of course, in this case, the one can actually ignore the issue of Hajj and stay and buy the house until Allah Azza wa Jal gives him the money to go for Hajj in the next year or after.
Inshallah. Sheikhna, is it permissible to take sleeping tablets?
If there's no harm for that individual, then of course it is permissible. Or most important, that there's no harm on this individual when taking those tablets or pills.
Okay. Also, Sheikhna, what is the law that one is obliged to observe in an Islamic government?
You see, the law in which is derived from the four main sources: the Book of Allah Azza wa Jal, the Sunnah of the Holy Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, the consensus of the ulama on the Hadith of Ma'soom Alayhi Salam, and the role of the reason, the aql. Those are the four sources of the Sharia.
I see.
And even the government system should follow those four sources. Otherwise, that government is not Islamic. That's the whole idea.
I see. Sheikh, now we're going to go to a short break, inshallah. Join us after the break as we continue our discussion here on Ahkam SOS.
I have a question regarding keeping pictures of
Is it
scholars
permissible
at
to
home.
plant trees by or
Was
over
Islam
the graves?
established based on peace and
Is it
non-violence?
permissible to collect donations for charity projects from
Is it permitted to consume canned food imported from non-Muslim
Is there
countries?
an issue for men looking at non-Muslim women?
To have your questions answered live, call in on +44 2035 150199 or WhatsApp us on +44 7415 092155. Alternatively, you can also email us on ahkamsos@imamhussein.tv.
Yes, this is a live show. We do take in your questions, and you can send your questions via the WhatsApp, the email address. Give us a call live, 0235150199. Alternatively, if you're watching on Facebook Live or you're watching on YouTube, put your questions in the comment section, and the technical team will send them to my iPad here, and inshallah, I'll be able to discuss and answer your questions with Sheikh Ali Ma'ash. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna.
Assalamu alaikum.
Sheikhna, I've got a question here coming from one of the viewers. Can I collect stamps and lottery tickets, not to use them, just for collection? Okay, so stamp collecting is quite common here in the UK, and some of them are worth quite a lot because they have limited edition ones and so forth in future. And lottery tickets, I think these are tickets that have already been used or so forth, and they're useless now. Just to collect them for, I don't know, for a hobby, I guess.
There should be no issue with it.
Mm-hmm.
Should be fine.
Other question from one of the viewers. Can I take my khums and use it for an impoverished family? I would give Saham al-Imam to the Maraja, but the rest can I use to help out?
In both cases and sahms, you have to ask the permission from the Maraja.
Oh, okay.
That I have an impoverished or poor individual I have to pay.
Mm-hmm.
They usually give you the ijaza to pay.
I see. Excellent. Sheikhna, what is one doubt between 3 or 4? Would this salah be invalidated? Oh, if one doubts between 3 and 4th rak'ah, probably, would his salah be invalidated?
Not at all. I mean, one of the ahkam of the doubts or the shak, the correct shaks is that you have to, if there's a doubt between the 3 and the 4 in the salah, then you have to base it on 4. Al-bina al-akthar, to base it on the more, not the most, not the least, basically. Bina al-akthar. In this case, you finish your salah, that this is the 4th rak'ah I've prayed, and then after the salah, you would perform rak'at al-ihtiyat. Of course, you should be not moving left or right. So with the salah motion, you would finish straight away, you stand up and do rak'ah of ihtiyat. Just in case that you have missed the rak'ah, this rak'ah ihtiyat would fulfill the missed rak'ah.
I see. Sheikhna, some more questions coming here from viewers. When calculating khums, do I have to take into account in everything I have owned, including TV, fridge, and cars, etc.?
You see, initially you have to have a date of the annual khums day. You have to set up a date. And then when you have that date, you reach that date, of course, you have to check everything.
But I think people are a bit confused there because they think khums is a tax. It's not really a tax, it's only a tax on your surplus.
Exactly, yeah.
So if you have a fridge and a TV and a car, well, if it's not like an extra fridge lying on the side that you haven't used, or a TV that's not required or something like that, there's no khums to pay on it.
Exactly. I mean, you have to pay khums on what is, let's say, unused items or gifts, for example, or excess money, surplus left from your saving for the past year, and you haven't paid khums in the previous year, and you have to pay khums on them.
Sheikh, now let's go to the Shia Plus video, inshallah, and help our shabab with the issues that they follow, inshallah.
Oh no, I missed the ruku in Jamaat Salah. What should I do? Should I wait for the next rak'ah, or should I just say Allahu Akbar and join now?
Very, very good question there, Ali Hassan. Sheikhna, happens to a lot of our viewers, our brothers and sisters. Coming into the Jama'ah, the Sheikhs in the Ruku, you quickly run, find a spot, prepare yourself, do your niyyah, Allahu Akbar. Too late, the Sheikh has already gotten up. So, should this person join the Jama'ah, or should they wait for the sujood to happen and then for qiyam and then join into that rak'ah?
Yes, if one misses the ruku' with the Imam when he joins the Imam late in the ruku', of course one needs to wait until the Imam goes to the sujood and gets up for the second or the third rak'ah or the fourth rak'ah. Then you can join him on the upcoming rak'ah.
I see. So there's no point joining and then going into sujood.
No.
It won't be counted as your first rak'ah. Sheikh, a question from one of our viewers. What circumstances must have made Asma bint Umays to marry Abu Bakr, knowing that Bibi Fatima alayhi salam was unhappy with him and she had been her honourable maid for a long time?
There's no connection between, we have, for example, Asya bint Muzahim, the wife of Fir'aun.
Yes.
That Allah Azza wa Jal praise her in the Holy Quran. That she asks Allah that Rabbi ibni li عندك fil Jannah, that build for me a house next to you in paradise, عندك in paradise. So there's no connection. You have a good associated with the bad. So that's of course some kind of imtihan for the human being, that you have to follow the right path. Do not deviate. And this is the example. In your house, you have a son, you have a brother, you have a father, you have a wife in which they are believers, or you have a husband in which they are believers. So why do you want to go the wrong way and deviate from the right path? So that's imtihan, part of the test, Allah's test, that you follow this individual or this individual.
I see. Sheikh, another question here from one of our viewers, and I think it's very important to actually answer this one. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalam.
Could you please tell me the names of all Mujaddideen pictures behind you? So I've got a couple behind me of the Maraja. Let me see if can you help me out here? Right, so if we go from top row, where's my hand? Over here, Sayyid Khou'i, we have Sayyid Muhammad Shirazi. I think that's Sayyid Tabatabai over there. Sheikh, now who's this one here? Sayyid, I think that is
Ayatollah Qummi.
Qummi, this one's Qummi.
We have Ayatollah Qummi.
Qummi, or is it Baqir Sadr? I think that's Baqir Sadr, that one.
Muhammad Sadiq Sadr.
And then we have, Sayyid Muhammad Sadiq Sadr.
Yes.
And then we've got Sayyid Khou'i, Sayyid Muhammad Shirazi, Sayyid Tabatabai, I think. Qummi, Sayyid Qummi at the end.
Yes.
Then Sayyid Sadiq Shirazi. We have Sayyid Sadiq Rouhani. We have the late Sayyid Sa'id Hakim, rahmatullah alayh. The famous Sayyid Sistani. And at the bottom, over here,
we have Ayatollah Safi Baykani as well.
Sheikh Wahid Khursani, Sheikh Gul Paygani, Sheikh Saqfiyat, and finally Sheikh Bashir al-Najifi. Alhamdulillah. And Sheikh, would you like to talk a little bit about the Sayyid Sadiq Shirazi, his picture is always next to you?
Of course, the Sayyid is one of the Maraja, and in Qum, he bases in Qum. And of course, the Ayatollah Shirazi's family, they had a long history in Iran. About over 100 years ago, less or more, they had the revolution of the tobacco, led by Ayatollah Muhammad Hassan al-Shirazi.
Yes.
And then the
revolt against the British.
Revolution of 1920, Ayatollah Sheikh Shirazi, Muhammad Taqi Shirazi in Iraq.
Yes.
So they have a great history. Revolting against the tyrants, the invaders, the invasions, and the empires of the world. So, and of course, a family of ulama, always nurturing and educating ulama, be it from their own family, the sons, grandsons, or even students and disciples. So it's a household of serving Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, reviving the sha'ar of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, and teaching and nurturing and educating people with this regard, with their sermons, with their lectures, with their majalis. Always we see in the world that they try to propagate and send and spread the message of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. As the Imam says, أحيوا أمرنا رحم الله من أحيا أمرنا. Revive our matter, may Allah bless those who revive our matter.
Sheikh, assalamu alaikum. Another question from the viewer. Can we pray surahs in obligatory namaz with Quran in hand? So sometimes some people they don't learn the surah, the small surahs or so forth. Can they hold the Quran while they're praying their Dhuhr Asr and then read the surahs from there, or maybe from their phone and so forth?
Yes, they can.
Fantastic. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna. Sufism has been exploring Islam and had changed many people into Islam as compared to others. On the other hand, people are against their beliefs. Are people against Sufism beliefs, I guess is the question they're asking.
No, Sufism is a batil and a falsehood belief and aqidah. We reject it, be it in the Shia or the Sunni sect. We reject it. We don't have such a belief in Islam at all.
I see. Ahsan. Thank you, Sheikhna. If someone sees a person eating something that is najis or praying in his clothing, is it mandatory for one to notify that person?
No, it is not wajib to inform the others. They have their own taklif. If they have seen the najas, they have to prevent. Otherwise, there's no taklif on them.
I see. Is it permissible to break the traffic law in the Islamic and non-Islamic government, such as by not adhering to the code of traffic lights?
Well, if this causes harm, if this breaking the law of the traffic system, let's say you would actually you don't stop when the light is red, then of course if that causes harm, then it's not permissible. You could hit somebody and kill somebody. You could cause accident damage someone else's car and so forth. So the one should be careful that to respect the law of the traffic system for your safety, for your well-being. على كل حال.
Sheikh, a final question for this evening. What is irfan and is practicing it haram? Irfan, Sheikhna, is mysticism, isn't it? It's classified in English, we call it Islamic mysticism. Could you shed some light on irfan, maybe what its concepts are, and whether we are allowed or not allowed? Because we have Maraja who are strictly against the teachings of irfan, in the Hawza especially.
You see, I give you just a general guideline. Basically, whatever does not come from Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, as mentioned in some narrations, that does not come out of this holy household, we reject it. Call it philosophy, Islamic philosophy, irfan, Islamic irfan. If it's not within the boundary of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, within the framework of Ahlul Bayt, we reject it. Because this irfan, if you go to the base, to the roots, you'll end up with the Ibn Arabi's irfan. This Sufi, this deviated individual, in which sadly some of the ulama take from him, and they do also sharh of his works. So we don't take from none other than Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. We take only from them. The true irfan is from Ahlul Bayt only, and not others. Otherwise it's batil.
Afwan Sheikhna, I mean, I hope we have time for maybe two more questions. Salaam Sheikhna, can I wipe over my gelled hair in wudu according to His Eminence Ayatollah Khurasani or Sayyid Sadiq Shirazi? Gelled hair, doing masa on the gelled hair?
If there's a thickness, they have to remove it. If no thickness, then that's fine.
Can I go to ziyarah if I have not performed Hajj?
There's no issue with it, because ziyarah is something else. Hajj time, when it comes and you're mustati' and capable, you have to go to Hajj, of course. You must go to Hajj, it's wajib. So it depends really. If it's Hajj time, no, you have to go to Hajj. Wajib Hajj. And then you go to ziyarah afterwards.
Thank you so much, Sheikhna. Thank you to all of you for joining us on this episode of Ahkam SOS. If we didn't get to answer your question, we do apologize. We have a lot of questions that come in, and sadly we'll run out of time. But inshallah, we'll answer those questions on Wednesday's episode, 6:30 here on Imam Hussein TV3. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh.
We question our daily position, seeking answers and definitions. Get the queries off your chest with Ahkam SOS.
Whilst this winter many of you will be enjoying the festive season, Afghanistan is going through a crisis. Every winter the weather will reach temperatures as low as -18 degrees Celsius. With little finances and homes not adequate enough to keep the heat in, many families struggle during this season. The elderly are vulnerable and physically challenged to fight the cold during these days and nights. Young children must walk through snow and ice in order to get to school and return to a chilly and bitter cold home. Imam Hussein Development and Relief Foundation are determined to help. We will be providing households with coal to burn throughout the winter. $150 is all we need. $150 will be enough to provide heat and warmth for one household for the whole of winter. That's $150 for 4 months. You can donate via PayPal, bank transfer, or visit us at www.ihdrf.org to make a donation. Our Imams tell us the best of you are those who help those who are desperate. Help us spread the warmth. Thank you.
IHDRF is proud to announce the launch of its app, Sadaqah. Sadaqah is a modern, easy, and interactive way for you to pay your charity. Your Sadaqah can be transferred instantly and directly start helping orphans. Furthermore, you can donate to different projects such as clothing orphans, supplying clean water, heating fuel for the winter, and feeding the hungry. When you pay your Sadaqah, it will be used to feed, clothe, and school orphans. Our app is accessible via the App Store and Google Play Store. Download today and pay your Sadaqah.
Have a duty towards the preservation and the propagation of the message of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Indeed, one of the best ways to work towards the reappearance of Imam al-Mahdi ajjalallahu ta'ala farajul sharif is through promoting the values of Karbala. Imam Hussein Media Group is the only Shia television network that broadcasts globally in 5 different languages: Arabic, Farsi, Turkish, Urdu, and English. We are appealing to the lovers of Imam Hussein alayhi salam worldwide to support the channel such that it may continue its global operations. Imam Hussein Media Group is seeking 1,000 partners to pledge to a £14 contribution per month. This will allow the channel to sustain its operating costs as we continue to spread the message of Imam Hussein alayhi salam in multiple languages across the globe. You be a part of this great legacy and donate today. You can pledge in 2 ways. www.imamhussein3.tv/donate will take you direct to our donation page where you can pledge monthly. Or you can call or WhatsApp us on 0044 793 9917163. Imam Hussein TV, your gateway to Karbala.
Fatima is a part of me. Whoever angers her angers me.
Sayyidah Fatima al-Zahra, Salamullahi alayha, has a great and tragic story. Throughout the year, we commemorate the calamities that befell her eminence through different narrations, and we honor her legacy. Therefore, her majalis must be established in Karbala. Imam Hussein TV complex has a Husainiyya being built on the ground floor to hold majalis throughout the year, to allow pilgrims to pray, rest and eat tabarruk, but it still needs a lot of work. We are asking for £250 and upwards to help with flooring, wiring, furnishing and decorating. Each donation of £250 will receive a bundle of Karbala relics, which include a turba of Karbala, prayer beads made from the holy land of Karbala, khaki-shifa from the grave of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, and lastly, a water of alqama from beside the grave of Abu Fadl al-Abbas alayhi salam. Or if you donate £786, you will not only receive our Karbala bundle, but you will also receive an official flag from the shrine of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. These flags have had the barakah of being kept inside the blessed dome of the shrine of Sayyid al-Shuhada for 3 nights. To find out more, visit imamhussein3.tv/HQ or call us on the numbers displayed below. Let us not let the legacy of Sayyidah Fatimah al-Zahra perish. Her story must be told.
Imam Hussein Media Group is a virtual university that works on a global scale to spread the true message of the Prophet and the Ahlul Bayt's peace and blessings be upon them. Imam Hussein TV was established 10 years ago in the city of Isfahan, Iran. We work to cover all aspects of religion, Islamic jurisprudence, politics, philosophy, and many more.